what role do logical arguments have in addressing a situation in which someone is feeling an emotion, someone's in love? And when you're in a situation in which you're trying to encourage and empower someone to make the decision that's best for them, are there other things that are not just logical or rational that maybe you add into the mix and combine with the logical arguments, maybe to help them address the person's experience rather than just the ideas?
Okay, so it's a very powerful question because, love conquers all, and I love, love, love. But although love is a very important component in deciding whom to marry, it's not the only component. And there's a story that happened in England a few years ago. This couple that was married a few years, suddenly they found out that they're siblings. They're twins. They were born the same in the hospital. They were adopted by two different families. They knew nothing about each other. They grew up in the same neighborhood, whatever, and they got married. And a few years into their marriage, they find out that they're siblings because of because of what I told you. What should they do? They love each other, obviously. Now, should they continue being married because they love each other? So obviously, love is not the only component. And it doesn't mean that your love was not truthful. It means that, you love your sister, but you can't marry her. And what am I supposed to do about it? You'll find someone that you can marry. Put it this way. Not every Jew is a qualified spouse for you. But every non-Jew is not a qualified spouse to build a Jewish home with. Okay, so yes, you can love people as people, right? But I think, a man needs a woman for three reasons. One is for biological needs. Another is emotional needs. Another is to build a family with. So the first two needs can be satisfied, not necessarily with a Jewish woman. But to build a Jewish family, for that you need a Jewish wife. So you have to make that decision, like what is more important to you? Do you want to satisfy your emotions and your physical needs and give up the family and continuity and the perpetuation of your essence, not of your people, but of yourself, essentially, and maybe not aware of what that means, so find out. But no one's saying that your love for each other is not real. Of course, they could be very deep. But again, love is not the only justification for a man and a woman to get married.
So then practically, if someone comes through and they say, I wish I would have known before that this isn't good for me, or maybe it's the non-Jewish person in the relationship and that says, I really respect this person and I wish I would have known that it's not good for them and they shouldn't, it's not in their best interest to marry me. But at this point, I can't stop thinking about them. I go to sleep thinking about them. I wake up thinking about them. I'm completely in love with this person. My whole life is about this person. I don't see any way that I am discontinuing this relationship. What am I supposed to do?
All right, let me tell you, I think this is, in any type of situation, I always say you can't answer the question, you have to answer the person. Depends on the person that you're talking to. Why do they do anything they do in their life? Is it based on rational arguments? Is it based on impulse? Is it out of being rebellious? Is it being cowardly? What are their general motives in general? And then, to answer accordingly. But let me ask you, let's say somebody is about to get married and he finds out that his fiancée is his sister. What's he going to do? I should have told me before. It's just too bad, For some reason, the papers got mixed up somewhere and someone just came and told us that we're siblings. So what am I going to do? No one told me, so I'm going to go ahead with it? Of course not. Right? So the question here is, how much legitimacy do you give to this consideration? Right? So if it's a sibling, obviously no one's going to accept that you weren't told before, so it's too late now. No. And the same thing is here. You weren't told before, you didn't have the information. And now that you have it in time, it's up to you to ignore it or to understand that if God says that this is not for you, then he has something better for you. Let me give you an example. I was talking to somebody the other day, who felt he would be left alone and he wouldn't have, if he left his non-Jewish girlfriend. I said, you're looking at your non-Jewish girlfriend as your key to happiness. And it might be the other way around. I gave him an example. It's a guy who went mountain climbing and all of a sudden he slips. It's at night in the dark and he's holding on to his rope. and can't see anything, and he's frightened and feeling all vulnerable and lost and dangerous and everything. He says, God, help me, help me. He says, okay, you'll do anything I tell you to do. Anything you ask me to do, I'll do. He says, okay, cut this rope that you're hanging from. So the next morning, they went to save him. He was frozen dead 2 inches above the ground. He thought that the rope...
You didn't cut the rope.
Exactly. See, he thought the rope is what is saving him, when actually the rope is what was his problem, not a solution. So same thing is here. You think that this girl is your solution and she's the one who's going to cause you all the happiness in the world. It looks like it. But you can be sure that if God says no...
Feels like it.
It looks like it, feels like it. There's no way you can imagine anything different, right? But if God says this isn't the right thing, then there's no way in the long run it's going to be the best thing for you. So this is really, it depends on you. If you come to the decision that you need to marry a Jewish woman, God will bring your Jewish wife to you. But if you say, I don't need a Jewish wife, this is good enough for me, why should God waste a Jewish wife on a guy who doesn't care? So if you come to the decision that you're committed, you realize that to build a Jewish family, you need a Jewish wife, and you are not going to compromise on it, now you deserve to have the soul that came down to this world to be your soulmate to come into your life, because you'll value her and appreciate her for what she is, and not just, as an option amongst others.